You're watching iRacing on the Ghostfire Media Network.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to New Hampshire. I'm Josh Laston, and tonight we are going to have Week 21 of the AOLL iRacing Cup Series. It is a shortish track. We're talking about a mile long here, but it's a little bit bigger of a Martinsville. It's flat turns. It's a lot wider open, but these guys, hey, they should be relatively fine tonight. The track temperature, it's not the hottest I've ever seen. We're sitting at only 91 degrees, but we do have a relatively small field here tonight. A lot of people started coming in a little bit later in the day there. But right now, we're looking only at about 25 people. Unfortunately, I am going to be alone this evening because Larry is hanging out with his kids who are leaving tomorrow, and Carl is out on track tonight. We're still going to have a lot of fun. I'm hoping that with 150 laps here, we aren't going to have too many cautions, but the one thing I will say is these laps are going to be harrowing, especially coming out of the turn, as quite literally, as we do that, we see Jason Swan get loose in the background while he's just running out there for qualifying. And right now, of course, this is going to be that way, so we will go ahead and go this direction. And as it sits right now, Joshua Hanner puts down his first lap. Or his flying lap, because that's not the line he should be running. To put himself into third with Mr. Joe Densmore right behind him, followed by Mike Bass in fifth. But Steve Gottschalk actually just comes out with a lap and pushes himself into third to push both Johnny Downey and Joshua Hanner down one spot. Last week's winner, Greg Wellen, well, on-track winner. There was a little bit of a shake-up in the manner in which he moved Blake out of the way to take the win. It is in practice against the rules of the AOLL that you can't move someone out of the way for the win, to where he ended up finishing in second, but we are actually without Blake Gordon this week. So we will have to wait and see where things shake up with him being out of the field today. To where there are our current standings with Greg Wellen provisionally on pole, Justin Anderson in second, Dan Shirley third, Steve Gottschalk in fourth, Johnny Downey in fifth, Joshua Hanner 6th, Joe Dinsmore 7th, Mike Bass 8th, Jason Swan in 9th, and William Klingbill in 10th. And right now there is a 4-car pack of Steel Horse Racing guys. Unless Greg Wellen has... Yes, the top 4 positions are all Steel Horse Racing guys. And they should be able to control this entire race with the top 4 positions being held. So we should be just about ready for us to go ahead. I'm waiting for the session to end so we can run through the rest of the starting grid because no one is currently out on track. And we should be having everyone coming out onto the grid any moment. So one thing I will bring up is I know that there are some people out there that are not a big fan of New Hampshire. It's a track that doesn't necessarily have the most character. But we should see some great racing this evening because it is wide. There are a lot of different lines that can be run. So we should be able to see 2 groups form up and see some great side-by-side action. Alright, so our starting lineup is Greg Wellen is the pole sitter, Justin Anderson in 2nd, Dan Shirley 3rd, Steve Gottschalk 4th, Johnny Downey 5th, Joshua Hanner 6th, Joe Dinsmore 7th, Mike Bass will be starting in 8th, Jason Swan 9th, William Klingbill 10th, Andrew Burgess 11th, Brian McFerrin 12th, Adam Wood 13th, 14th is Derek Schilling, 15th is Carl Henderson, 16th Sean Carmody, 17th Blake Zeedy, 18th Steve Dominy, Kevin Hassan 19th, Chris Oliver 20th, Ross Gage 21st, Randy Pepper 22nd, Mike Burgess 23rd, 24th is John Gordon, and rounding out the field is Mr. Ed Springer. So as we get everyone down on the grid, we have 150 laps, a number of opportunities for us to go with green-white checkers if it calls for it. But everyone is out on the way for the formation lap to where Mr. Greg Wellen will have to start at the same time as everyone else, but every other restart after this point, the leader does get to dictate where they go. But on the initial start, it is on the green flag, so no one should be able to get an extra jump, play any games. But the lights on the pace car are out, so we will be going at the end of this lap. And as we see the pace car dive in, everyone forms up and the green flag is flying, and Greg Wellen does not get the best jump that he possibly could there. Justin Anderson is out alongside him, and he should be able to carry a good deal of momentum coming out of this turn, but it looks like he gets a little bit loose, and that is going to let Greg Wellen tear away and Dan Shirley to get in front of Justin Anderson. And Steve Gottschalk looks like he may be trying to take advantage of that situation as well, as Joshua Hanner gets around the outside of Steve Gottschalk. And we're seeing a good shakeup as Justin's dropped 1 spot. But we're seeing Joshua Hanner, who has made up 2 from the start of this race, And we're also seeing Justin Anderson is staying down on that lower line despite the fact that he does have, we have caution. That would explain that. Sorry, I was getting too excited about everything that was going on. I'm trying to figure out. Was it? Let's see here, because it looks like, oh yeah, Adam Wood gets into the back of Andrew Burgess. And as they come across the line, he just came in a little bit hot. Maybe Adam missed his braking point and gets himself into the rear of Mr. Burgess. That's not the way that anyone wants to start their race, because this is actually... sorry about that, if you could hear it. That's not the way you want to be starting a race like this. This is a large enough track to where aero may play a reasonable factor in how much of a run you can get on the front and back stretch. So burying your front bumper into someone, well, even though it does look like Mr. Adam Wood has either taken his fast repair or somehow did not actually get much damage in that process. That's actually somewhat shocking, because it looks like he actually had nailed him pretty hard. But alas, it seems like we have made it through. Unfortunately, we didn't make it very far into this race before we ended up having our first incident. But we have only gotten 5 in, and there's Mr. Wood coming into the pits, along with Ed Springer, who most likely was caught up in that and may need to take a fast repair. But as we go back up to the front, we are seemingly getting ready to line up side by side, so they are on 2 to go. And we should be back racing in about 1 minute. So the one thing we are going to need to keep an eye on here is Joshua Hannard got a great jump that last time around and did manage to make up 2 spots. Justin Anderson did not get the best drive out of the corner of 2. Has moved back 1. But we're going to have to wait and see if it can be, again, like last week, to where Greg Wellen essentially controls the entire race until the very end, where he did get ahead of everyone and did not relinquish positions very quickly. But we are on the backstretch. We're seeing the last of the lagging cars catch their way up. The field is bunched up side by side. As we enter 3, the pace car will be peeling off, and it will be Greg Wellen's decision on when this pack goes. And he waits a good while, but once he does get moving, he gets moving. That is a good 1, 2, 3, 4 car lengths in front of Dan Shirley, which opens the door for Justin Anderson to get down below him. But that outside line was caught sleeping as we see Joshua Hanner getting side by side with Mike Bass. He hasn't lost a position yet, but it almost seems inevitable with having Mike Bass below him. And Justin Anderson is catching Greg Wellen, but we have gone single file through most of the field, except for what looks like Mr. Joe Densmore is looking to make a move on William Klingbill right behind his teammate, Steve Gottschalk, as Steve goes low, potentially trying to get out, and caution is back out on the track. Let's see if we can figure this out. Looks like Mr. Ross Gage, got loose, got helped around by Andrew Burgess, and ends up on the track with no rear end. All right, let's go ahead and use this second caution as we are on lap 9 of 150 to go ahead and hear a little bit more about the AOLL.
The AOLL began online racing in the mid-1990s with Papyrus's NASCAR racing still going strong 27 years later on the iRacing platform. The TNT series races on Thursday night, running the ARCA Chevy cars for drivers looking to learn and have fun. The Cup Series races on Sunday nights, featuring league veterans and Class A licensed drivers. The Sportsman Division races on Wednesday nights, running the Gander Outdoor trucks with drivers from the Cup and TNT series. You can catch all of the AOLL racing action right here on Ghostfire Media.
And we are back. We do seem to have a few people that have decided to head off into the pits. We have Andrew Burgess, who's been involved in both of the cautions at this point. We actually see Stephen Dominy making his way back out of the pits. Mr. Chris Oliver has also made his way in, and unfortunately Ross Gage, who got the brunt of that last incident, is sitting, probably waiting on a tow, which is something you never want to have happen because you're going to lose a few laps in that process. You want to try to limp that car home under any and all circumstances, but it's not possible every time. But we do have the lights out on the pace car, so we will be going green flag in just a few moments, as Justin Anderson did manage to get himself back up into second, where he is starting on that outside row with Joshua Hanner right behind him, but we still have 3 of the top 4 cars are Steel Horse. And you have to sit and wonder, are they collaborating on their starts to where they can get a good gap, get Dan Shirley up into third in front of Joshua Hanner, and leave the rest of these guys behind? But we have lights out on the pace car. That's my better view. There it is, as Greg Wellen goes ahead, gets a great jump. And it looks like Dan Shirley went about the same time as Greg Wellen, leaving Justin Anderson out to dry, but he has that extra run coming out of turn 2 that should get him cleared of Dan Shirley. Dan does slot up in the line, but we have Johnny Downey and Joshua Hanner looking to get a little bit racy. Hanner gets in front, but Mike Bass is also looking to get the pass done on Johnny Downey. He has that lower line, gets it done according to timing and scoring, gets himself into that lower line, but he can't make the way up because Joshua Hanner is right there. So, we see Joe Densmore get a little bit loose, and Mike Burgess as well goes into the wall, but that is a 1-car spin and no one's coming. It looks like he may be stuck in the wall. So let's head back up to the front, and yes, he ended up just getting towed. So we have Justin Anderson looking like he may try to make a move on Greg Wellen on the low side in 1 and 2. As we have another incident, and yellow flag is out. So let's see if we can see what happened here. Oh, William Klingbeil looks like he gets up into the wall. Oh no, just comes down to Steve Gottschalk, and Steve and William just go off into the wall as we are officially back under caution. Would really love to get a few laps of green flag here, but again, this is not the easiest track to run, as Justin Anderson makes a late decision to dive into the pits. He's dropping back, but at this point, I'm wondering if this is strategy for fuel or if this is going to be tires. Because it's a little early for both of those as he misses his pit stall by a bit, and he's going to go ahead and get tires. I'm wondering what the thought process is here. We're only about 1/10 of the way into this race. Is it worth taking tires this early, knowing that, I mean, we're 16 laps in at this point and only 15 minutes into the race? But Justin Anderson actually is coming out very deep into the field to where he's currently sitting 20th. So I think we're going to have to ask him if when another caution comes out. We're going to have to bring him up here and try to figure out what his thought process is, because that is baffling to me. But we do have one more lap under caution after this one. So let's go ahead and take a quick commercial break and hear from our man Randy Pepper at the Guitar Attic.
Hi, I'm Randy from the Guitar Attic. Can we be serious for a second? Are you tired of being a loser? Can't do anything right? Feel like everyone's coming down on you all the time? Well, there's a way out, and I'm going to show you. Hey Mom, look what I learned. That's right, pick up a guitar, learn how to play guitar. Automatically you're going to become a chick magnet. The ladies are going to love you. Your kids are going to think you're cool. So what you need to do is come down here to the Guitar Attic, 16725 Ridgewood Avenue in Daytona Beach, Florida, or go on guitarattic.com and buy yourself a guitar and automatically be the star of your neighborhood. That's guitarattic.com.
As we are back just in time to watch the pace car peel off as they enter turn 3. And the only major shakeup we see is because of Justin Anderson diving into the pits, to where everybody from third right now on has gained a spot as Greg gets another great jump. This time, Joshua Hanner doesn't really keep with him in the same way that Justin or Dan had been, but he is fighting on that lower line with Johnny Downey. And he's keeping it there underneath that Milwaukee car. But Johnny should be able to get a great run coming out of the turn. in comparison, but Josh Hanner is doing a great job of keeping him at least side by side with him. But they are running close, as Joshua Hanner does end up getting loose and is dropping back. He is dropped back into 7th at this point, but looking to make a charge in front of Blake Zeedy here. And Brian McFerrin is trying to get up on the bumper of Blake and give him a little bit of a push. Needs to get a little bit closer, but Blake moves up, lets Joshua Hanner go by, and Brian says, "Thank you for the extra space. I will use that as well." And now we get to see Joshua Hanner see if he can make up those positions after that. We have currently one of the other TNT guys fighting for a position up into the podiums. We have Sean Carmody, who is looking to make a move around the outside, taking a little bit wider of a line than Johnny Downey. He's getting great runs off the corner to where he is right up on the bumper. Again, we see Sean is staying about a lane higher than him and using that extra distance to get a great run out of the corner. But Johnny is dropping him ever so slightly, as both Greg Wellen and Dan Shirley are just off running their line, running their race, and seeing how far we can go. Let's see, I keep seeing action down here towards the back of the pack as Randy Pepper loses a position to Joe Densmore. Randy goes quite a bit wide. He's getting the commentator's curse. I didn't say that this would be his Thursday would have been his best race, and of course it was. So I'm not going to talk about Randy. I don't want to curse him. I want him to have a great week of racing. Whether that'll actually happen is a different story. But we see him running that high line. We have Adam Wood getting down below him, seemingly to be being a little bit tentative, getting right up into his bumper. Randy is not allowing much space for Adam to work down below him. So we'll have to see how aggressive Adam can get to get around Randy Pepper to take over that 13th position. And then they'll need to set their sights. The next person is Carl Henderson in 12th, who is a second and a half ahead of these guys. As Adam does get down below Randy Pepper, is able to start coming up as Steve Gottschalk throws one down right next to Randy. And looks like he's going to be able to get the drive off of the corner as we see a car coming back onto the track in front of him. And that is the 81 of Jason Swan. And we're starting to see Mr. Randy Pepper have a train run past him. So we'll leave him alone and see what Mr. Adam Wood is doing at the front of this pack, trying to catch the 31 of Carl Henderson, who is currently trying to close a gap down on Andrew Burgess and start making his way up into the top 10. And we're going to go up to the front as Mike Bass and Sean Carmody, as we have caution out on the track again. Oh, this looks like there may have been 3 people involved in this one. Oh, a self-spin with Randy Pepper. Tries to hang on and collects a few people in the process. One of those happened to be Mr. Ross Gage, Ed Ed, Ed Springer, Stephen Dominy, Kevin Haas. There may be a little bit of damage on the front end of William Klingbill. Let's go ahead and take a look. Oh yeah, there was definitely some contact there. So as we are coming to lap 30, we are seeing the front of this line go ahead and dive into the pits, as Justin Anderson surprisingly joins them. But let's go ahead and take a quick gander at everybody that has stayed out. Jason Swan, Derek Schilling, John Gordon, Ed Springer, who was just involved in that, William Klingbill. Oh nope, that's Ross Gage. As we're slowly seeing everybody make their way out of the pits, as Justin Anderson seemingly won the battle off of pit road. We gotta get out there. Let's see what happened. Yeah, Justin Anderson, despite being towards the back of the field, had a very short pit stop. He just went in for fuel when everybody else went in for tires, giving him an advantage, getting himself back out onto the track, as the collection of people, with the exception of Derek Schilling, everybody else that did not come into the pits earlier have come into the pits. And Derek Schilling was in the pits on that last caution, so he should be fine for quite some time at this point. And I'm not sure exactly what's going on towards the back of the field here. There has been a bug as of recent with iRacing that it will randomly tell people to drop to the back of the field when there is absolutely no point. It plagued us on Thursday nights, and it loved telling me that I had to give up positions. But the admins have been fantastic about getting everything cleared and making sure we are good to go. As the lights on the pace car are off, as we are going to go green on lap 33 of 150. We are 1/5 of the way through this, and only 3 cautions so far. Or 4, I don't remember. I should probably mark that down, but I don't want to be sad at the end on how many we had. So I do want to highlight, currently, Sean Carmody, one of the TNT drivers, recently just got added to the Cup roster. He is currently up 11 spots from his starting position. So he is flying through the field tonight, but Derek Schilling, who is leading us to green and is off, waits a little bit too long to where Justin Anderson can get started at the same time as him. So they're going to be going side by side into turn 1. And Justin should be able to clear him, as we have an incident involving Mike Bass at the tail end of all of that. So we are back under caution, and it looks like Justin Anderson had the pass done when the yellow came out. Mike Bass has Joshua Hanner underneath him. Hanner does come up into him. Let's take a look at that one from a little bit farther away. Yeah, I'm gonna say that one's a little bit of a racing incident. It's not exactly my forte, but it looks just like good hard racing, as Joshua Hanner does drop below, has to check up because of Sean, and just comes up a little bit into him. But we will see the tail of the tape as Joshua Hanner goes into the pits. As I'm not sure if he caught any damage in that situation, and that's why he is making this trip, but Mike Bass is also in there. So I have to wonder. Looks like Josh Hanner actually was just going in to get a fast... Okay, he didn't get a fast repair. Okay. So that doesn't make any sense to me. Why he even went in. So let's take a moment, since we have an extra lap, to figure out what just happened. Hey Josh, this is Josh in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
I have to ask, what was the point in that pit stop?
I was going to fill the car up with fuel and missed the pit box, and then I had a black flag for passing under yellow, so I just left.
Okay, because I noticed that your fast repair did not actually do anything, nor did, yeah,
calamity of errors.
Yeah, well, all right. So, in that situation, it looks like it looked like a racing incident between you and Mike Bass.
Yeah, I just kind of misjudged where I was in the turn and got him there. I apologized over the radio and took the penalty for it. We'll see if we can come back from it.
No, sounds great. I assume we're at 1 to go. Can't.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll let you get back to your team. Thank you very much, sir.
Alrighty.
Well, that was Mr. Joshua Hanner. And again, I was definitely curious about why he didn't do anything in blowing your pit stall and just driving through, as he did apologize for the incident, which means he got an AOLL anyway, which puts him to the back. And we are about to go green again. So as we're in turn 4, we will be seeing the pace car make its way onto pit road. And we'll get to see what Justin Anderson has for these guys, as he is gone. He and Dan Shirley are off like a rocket, to where they have both cleared Derek Schilling. We are side by side the entire way back to 6th. But we have cars fishtailing hard. And that looks like Greg Wellen. We come out of it without a caution, but there is definitely damage on the outside of his car. As we see Carl Henderson, who is currently running in 10th and up 5 spots, right on his tail as he gets a little bit loose again. I'm curious if the damage on his outside is a little bit more than cosmetic, if there is any kind of linkage damage there, as they come real close to touching. As Carl seems to get a little bit loose under acceleration, he is trying to hold on to his position. Hopefully not angry driving tonight, but he is trying to get his nose below Johnny Downey. And I've got to move back up to the front here, as these guys have broken wide open. But we right now have a 3-way battle to try to take 5th, as Brian McFerrin is right on the bumper of Blake Ziti, and he has Joe Dinsmore right behind him. And they are just lining up, waiting for someone in front to make a mistake. Or just wait for that best draft, as we see Blake Ziti stick his nose out below. He's going to get the pass done on Derek Schilling. Brian McFerrin is following Blake on that lower line. Looks like he's going to have the run to get below Derek Schilling for turn one. And he has the pass done, and now Joe Dinsmore is doing the same thing. We are just watching Derek Schilling drop back 4 places as we are going here. He does stop the bleeding a little bit, slot in behind Brian McFerrin. And right now, Joe Dinsmore is poking his nose down just a little bit to see if he may be able to get himself down below and alongside, but Brian McFerrin is starting to pull away. But we do have he and Blake Ziti, as Joe Dinsmore does get down below Derek Schilling. And now Andrew Burgess is looking to make a move as Derek just goes high. Doesn't look to fight too hard. But now we are about back to the point where he has our former leader right behind him, with what may be a bit damaged of a car. Getting down below as Derek Schilling flirts with the wall. But Greg Welland does have the lower line on him as Johnny Downey looks to take advantage of the same situation. Slots in right behind him. We have yellow out on the track. Looks like Steve Dominy and Randy Pepper get into it as... Oh, Randy didn't come down very far. Oh, that turned into quite a bit more than would have thought. As it ends up collecting Ed Springer, Chris Oliver, oh, that one was a little bit bad. But while we are under caution, let's go ahead and hear one more time from the Guitar Attic.
Hi, I'm Randy from the Guitar Attic. Can we be serious for a second? Are you tired of being a loser? Can't do anything right? Feel like everyone's coming down on you all the time? Well, there's a way out, and I'm going to show you. Hey Mom, look what I learned. That's right, pick up a guitar, learn how to play guitar. Automatically you're going to become a chick magnet. The ladies are going to love you. Your kids are going to think you're cool. So what you need to do is come down here to the Guitar Attic, 16725 Ridgewood Avenue in Daytona Beach, Florida, or go on guitarattic.com and buy yourself a guitar and automatically be the star of your neighborhood. That's guitarattic.com.
And we are back. We had a few people decide to pop down into the pits. We had Greg Welland, Josh Hanner, after his missed pit stop the last time around, Stephen Dominy, who was involved in that last one, and Mr. Ed Springer, as we do get to see Joshua Hanner make his way out of the pits. Still has not used the fast repair that is allotted to him as we are coming to third race distance. He is starting back in 19th right now, as Steve Gottschalk looks like he has also decided to jump into the pits a lap later than everyone else. as we stand right now, we are looking at Justin Anderson in first, Dan Shirley in second, Sean Carmody in third, Blake Ziti in fourth, Brian McFerrin fifth, Joe Densmore sixth, Andrew Burgess in seventh, Johnny Downey eighth, Adam Wood ninth, and Carl Henderson in 10th. So we are seeing quite a few of these new TNT guys making their way up and challenging the front runners. As we are one to go, the second row of this race, we have those identical twins of Endeavor cars, with the only difference being the number. That's the scheme that I'm used to seeing Blake running, so it's just all kinds of confusing for me right now. I have no idea what's going on. But as we are going down the backstretch, we will be racing momentarily. Let's go ahead and get ourselves a little bit better of a camera here. And apparently that is not the right one, so let's go ahead as we are coming back to green. Justin Anderson doesn't go basically until the green flag, gets a great jump. And it looks like Sean Carmody is actually going to be able to challenge Dan Shirley going into turn one. As Brian McFerrin gets down below Blake. Does not quite have the run that he wanted coming out of the turn. We'll have to slot back in for fifth, but Joe Densmore and Johnny Downey are both right there waiting to pounce as we see everyone go single file with one exception. That's Mr. Adam Wood, who is trying to get down below Carl Henderson in turn 1 and 2. Carl should be able to get a great run out of the corner and hold off Adam Wood, but he also has Mike Bass right behind him. And Mike is definitely a fighter, but we are seeing Adam drop back a little bit further. But I want to go back up to the front as Joe Densmore and Brian McFerrin are fighting. Joe does get clear as Brian goes high, leaving the door open for Johnny Downey also to get right there. As we're starting to see this front three make a bit of a breakaway to where they have about a half a second gap to fourth place right now. But Joe Densmore is not done. He is making his way back up. He's right on the bumper of Blake Ziti. Tries to make a move down low, but Blake is going to be able to get the better run off of the corner because he can straighten it out. Looks like Joe managed to do a crossover move on him and get a great run out of the corner, get the pass done. But we have something in the back of that frame. It definitely Andrew Burgess. That is a hard hit there that collects a lot of the field. Just side by side with Brian McFerrin, and he came up and collects nearly everyone in the back of the field, as it looks almost like that gets Carl Henderson, Mike Bass, Adam Wood. Joshua Hanner manages to get around that, but John Gordon, everyone that was towards the back there, ends up tangled up in all of that. So right now we're seeing our leaders all dive down into the pits. You see Johnny Downey and Joshua Hanner stay out. Hanner was in that last time around. So we will have to wait and see. Will these guys who have been into the pits, it looks like they are Justin Anderson is taking tires, as is Greg Wellen. Nope, Greg Wellen is just getting fuel. So that is going to beg a question. These guys that... This is Justin Anderson's 4th trip into the pits. This is... Steve Gottschalk is on his 5th, according to this, which can't be right. No, he's on his 4th because it doesn't count the first one. So Steve Gottschalk, who is currently running 4th, is actually on his 5th stint of the night. So we have to wonder. Chris Oliver, who was also involved in that last incident, is still out on track. He's only dealing with a little bit of crumple there on the lower right, but he did manage to stay on the lead lap. He does have quite a field in front of him. But right now, as we are waiting for the lights to go out on the pace car, which should be as we complete this lap, I'm not gonna lie, this has been rough. We are on our 7th caution of the night, and we are only 58 laps of 150 in. So the lights are off on the pace car, and we are not making it many laps because it is 4 laps per caution here. So if we take 28 out of the 58, we've run 30 caution-free laps at this point. So let's see if we can get a little time in here. It would be lovely. But the pace car will be peeling off momentarily, and we have someone new in the Cup Series leading us to green with Johnny Downey. As he waits, he goes, does not get that great of a jump on Joshua Hanner, but he is pulling Derek Schilling along with him. Joshua Hanner doesn't come down. He's following the same line as Johnny Downey. But we are seeing lots of side-by-side farther back in that pack. But it seems that we do have a 2-car breakaway with Johnny Downey and Joshua Hanner. But Justin Anderson is quickly getting up to them. And we are seeing the difference in those new tires that he just put onto his car. So he should be able to catch these guys and pass them probably without too much difficulty. And it would be smart of both Johnny Downey and Joshua Hanner to let him pass, because otherwise they're going to burn up their tires in the process of holding him off. But it looks like both of them are running the same line that they normally do. They're just forcing Justin Anderson to get himself down, run a lower line, which is going to hurt those tires. But Johnny Downey, it looks like he squeezes him down just a little bit to make sure he can't get the run out of the corner. Justin does have the momentum and should be able to be alongside of Johnny coming out of this turn. Whether he'll be able to have the drive off the turn to keep him there is a different question, but they are side by side going across the line, going into turn 1, and Justin should have the job done at this point. But slowing Johnny down has made it to where Joshua Hanner is right on the bumper, and we are starting to see those guys that made their way into the pits with Dan Shirley as we have caution again. All right, it looks like this was Mr. Ross Gage. And did we just have a self-spin? Oh, John Gordon went off in front of him. Loses it on the low line. And Ross gave him a little bit of a sympathy spin in that process. Alright, since we are under caution again, let's go ahead and hear about the AOLL one more time.
The AOLL began online racing in the mid-1990s with Papyrus's NASCAR racing still going strong 27 years later on the iRacing platform. The TNT series races on Thursday night, running the ARCA Chevy cars for drivers looking to learn and have fun. The Cup Series races on Sunday nights, featuring league veterans and Class A licensed drivers. The Sportsman Division races on Wednesday nights, running the Gander Outdoor Trucks with drivers from the Cup and TNT series. You can catch all of the AOLL racing action right here on Ghostfire Media.
And we are back. So for everyone that is not fully up to date on everything that is going on in the Ghostfire Media world, tomorrow we actually have the first broadcast with Fuel Racing League. Tomorrow is actually going to be their all-star race before we get into the actual premiere season. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be the all-star qualifying format to where people will be solo on track, run a hot lap. At the end of the second lap, full tilt down the pit lane, stop, tires, fuel, and then finish off their third lap. We did testing. It is a great time. It's going to be a great way for everyone to come in, learn about all these new drivers. We are actually going to have one of the admins in the booth with us. He's doing it while he's on vacation to where we can get a little bit of an insider's knowledge into who everyone is, what to look for. And again, it's going to be just an exciting little bit of a little change. You'll have Adam and Larry in the booth for the call on that. I will be on track. It's going to be a great time. I hope to see everyone there. And then Tuesday, we will actually have the IVRL. And, oh no, we are actually on a break for the IVRL for a few weeks. So there will be no Randy and Nick in the booth. However, Thursday we will have the TNT series coming to you live from Concord. Then we will have the podcast Friday. And next Sunday we will see you here for the Indianapolis Road Course, which is going to be a great time. I will be in the booth. We will have Larry alongside me, hopefully. And we will get to see and laugh at Carl out on the track because, well, he's improving in road courses. I'm still going to laugh at him. As the lights on the pace car are out, as we are approaching halfway in this race, we have Justin Anderson leading us to green, Johnny Downey on his outside, Joshua Hanner on his in third, Sean Carmody in fourth, Joe Dinsmore in sixth, with Dan Shirley in fifth, as Justin gets an amazing jump, and that inside line is going to just run past the outside as Joshua Hanner gets himself down below Johnny Downey going into one. coming out of 2, gets himself back up on the track, does not get a great run out of the corner, and that's going to leave an opportunity for Sean Carmody to get himself up alongside, get the outside line, get a great run coming out of 4. But Joshua Hanner is not relinquishing. Well, of course he does the second I say something. But Sean Carmody makes his way up into 3rd. He is up 13 spots on the day, and now is setting his sights on Johnny Downey, with Joshua Hanner now dealing with Dan Shirley down on his inside. And we're also seeing Joe Dinsmore make a little bit of a dive down to that lower line. He should be able to get that pass done. Dan Shirley and Joshua Hanner. Dan Shirley gets a great dive down below, but he doesn't get the same kind of run that Hanner is getting off of the turn, as Johnny Downey is now going to block any kind of run that Dan Shirley may have, as we have Sean Carmody has moved up into 2nd place, and Dan Shirley is now getting down below Johnny Downey. And it looks like these guys running on slightly older tires are starting to feel the impact of the age, as Joe Dinsmore is now down below Joshua Hanner, and we're just seeing him fall back. He was in 3rd and now has been passed 4th and pushing him down into 6th. And we're seeing Adam Wood enter the picture. But Josh Hanner is not giving up the position to Joe Dinsmore, as they are side by side. Josh is running a slightly higher line. We're going to have to wonder, as they touch, and Joe is around, and that brings out the yellow flag. Let's take this to a different angle here, as Joe does get kissed as Josh Hanner comes down a little bit, running his normal line coming out of the turn. But let's take a quick gander at that from a little bit higher. As, yeah, Josh does come down a little bit. It looks like he may have, just trying to get that straight line shot out of the corner, gotten into Joe. As we will see, that has pushed him back. Well, Joe back at this point, as Joshua Hanner is staying in 4th place right now, as it's telling me that Joe Dinsmore has crashed. Did he just slow down excessively? Nope, just went a little wily and decided to stop at the line. I'm real confused. I'm real confused right now. Not that that should surprise anyone. But right now, as we stand, we have Justin Anderson in 1st, Sean Carmody in 2nd, Dan Shirley in 3rd, Joshua Hanner in 4th, Adam Wood 5th, Steve Gottschalk 6th, Mike Bass in 7th, Derek Schilling in 8th, Blake Zeedy in 9th, and Carl Henderson in 10th. So in our top 10 right now, we actually have 3 of the TNT guys making strong showings. And it's great to see. I would love to be one of those guys out there, but somebody has to man this booth, since Larry decides to not show up anymore. But we have our 9th caution, and we will be hitting the halfway mark under caution. And this has been a little bit rough of a race. But it does not help that while it runs a bit like a short track, it's double the length of most of the short tracks. So our caution laps are longer. We haven't had enough time for everybody to really spread out throughout all of the cautions. But the lights on the pace car are off, so we should be going side by side. We will have finished half of this race come the next restart. And I'm almost out of lemonade. That I may be drinking straight from the bottle. No judgment, please. I'm lazy. As we have entered the final turn, we will be having the pace car off, and we see Justin Anderson hold off and gets going. Right as he exits the turn, gets a great jump. Josh Hanner is right on the bumper of Sean Carmody, but Dan Shirley is down below him, should be able to get the drive off of the corner, get himself solidly into second place. But Sean is not backing off, and he is getting a great run down the back stretch. They are side by side going through 3 and 4. And Sean does have a nose in front of him coming out of the turn. But Dan gets a great launch. As Sean, again, we are seeing it to where Sean will have a little bit of distance in front of him coming into the turn. But it immediately gets erased once they get side by side, with Dan taking that lower line, the shorter line, and getting an absolutely amazing drive off the corner. I'm not sure if Josh Hanner was just backing off to see how things played out in front of him or what the situation is. But right now, he is just biding his time as we have another incident at the very back, and it looks like Blake Ziti. As I cannot get, so much just happened there that my machine decided to go a little crazy on me. As, yeah, it looks like Blake and Brian McFerrin got tangled up and then slowly collected everyone behind them to where that looks like Joe Dinsmore is smoking badly. And I'm not sure if he's going to be able to make it back around, and hopefully he has a faster pair left. But he is actually staying out, and I'm wondering if the pit lane was not open the last time around. He is flirting with some danger there, but he is making his way in now. As we see John Gordon staying out there with nothing on the front end. On the bright side, he's not going to have to worry about cooling. However, he may not be the best for aerodynamics at this point. But he is still out there. It's still alive as Johnny Downey from the front of the pack has made his way in. And it does look like Joe Dinsmore did have his faster pair left, and he is back out on the track. He's only down in 12th as of right now, but we are seeing Joshua Hanner at lap 80 of 150. he is currently staying out, and I would think that at this point, he is on 30. He's been out there for 34 laps since the last time he came in. But I would believe that just about everybody, the tires are starting to equalize, as we see all three that are in front of him right now are 25 laps old. So you would think that the tires have equalized somewhat, so he'd be able to keep up. You have Steve Gottschalk behind him, who is 1 lap fresher on his tires. But everybody else, with the exception of Greg Wellen and Chris Oliver, who went in after getting tagged in the last incident, they're at 25 lap old tires. So we should be able to see some great racing, pretty even racing for the time being. But we are going to have somebody like Joe Dinsmore, who's out there on fresh tires with everybody lined up side by side, should be able to make up quite a bit of time and some positions on those fresh tires in comparison to everybody else that has been out here and gone through a few heat cycles with them. But the lights on the pace car are off as they're coming out of turn 2. And we are ready to get back racing. And as I look through the field, everyone that has started this race is still in this race. So we have yet to see any retirements, despite the fact that the number of cautions that we have had tonight. So everybody has used their fast repairs as Justin Anderson leads everyone to the line, waits a while, gets a great jump to where Sean Carmody is actually going to be the beneficiary of all of that. Will be able to get up alongside and in front of Joshua Hanner, despite the fact that Josh Hanner almost identically timed Justin's jump, but couldn't get through the car in front of him, as Sean is down and below him, as Josh Hanner goes a little bit high, leaving the door open for Sean Carmody. As they come out of turn 4, Hanner does retain that position, but Justin Anderson has already opened 0.6 of a second of a gap to second place, and he is just off in his own little world while we start to see these guys stack up and start jockeying to try to get those last podium positions. As Josh Hanner just running a higher line than everybody else. Everybody else is coming at least 1 lane down lower than him. He is on slightly older tires by about 10 laps in comparison to everyone around him. And then there's Greg Wellen, who is on much fresher of tires, just coming up and running through. He should be able to have Sean Carmody through the course of this turn. And just by running the same line, should be up alongside Josh Hanner going into the next. As he does get the job done on Sean Carmody, side by side with Joshua Hanner. But Josh does not get the greatest drive out of 2. And that is going to open up the door not only for Greg Wellen to make the pass, but Sean Carmody is also down below him, getting a great drive and has the move done. As we're starting to see Steve Gottschalk make a move on Adam Wood. He is alongside, definitely faster. It's just going to be, can he get the full drive out of the corner and get up in front of Adam? He can. As we're starting to see a lot of moving and shaking towards the back, as let's go check in on Mr. Joe Dinsmore, who is trying to close in on Jason Swan to get back up into the top 10. But right now, Derek Schilling is right there on him. And that's allowing Jason Swan to get a little bit extra of a lead, as it's looking like Joe may have got a little bit of the tip at some point since the last caution, as we are on lap 88 of 150. Right now, Blake Ziti is also looking to get up behind Derek Schilling and get himself up in front of Joe Dinsmore, as Derek looks down below, thinks better of it, but Blake Ziti does not. He is down on that very low edge, gets a great run out of the corner, which is not the easiest thing to do from there. He is alongside Derek Schilling, running a perfect line as they are side by side in 3 and 4. And on the exit of the corner, gets a great run. Does have the pass done. It's just a matter of can he hold on to it, as Joe Dinsmore is coming down to a slightly lower line. Sean gets a little bit loose in the corner, has to drop back behind Derek Schilling, but we are starting to see Joe Dinsmore make his way actually up to Jason Swan, who is also catching Chris Oliver, who is currently running in 9th and up 11 spots, as we see Jason Swan get down below, get the pass done. Straight out of 2. He should be able to actually get all the way up to that top line, and now Chris is the target for Joe Dinsmore, getting himself back up into the top 10. Moving back up to the front, currently running in 5th, is Joshua Hanner, who is looking to be struggling mightily on these old tires that he has, as the entire back row is starting to catch up to him. And Steve Gottschalk is looking for his way around, but Joshua Hanner keeps slamming the door, as behind him, we're only seeing quarter-second gaps in the next 4 cars behind him, as Steve Gottschalk is looking to get down below Joshua Hanner. But that's not going to be the way that he's going to be able to get this done. He's going to have to find a way to force Joshua Hanner into a mistake, which is not a common thing, or be able to get a great draft coupled with a great run off the corner. But we're going to move forward, as right now Greg Wellen is really putting pressure on Dan Shirley on those fresher tires. And they have also caught, without too much issue, Justin Anderson, who did have nearly a 1.5-second lead a few laps ago, as Dan just lets Greg get around him, as we are going to be seeing Greg making a move for the lead here. He's only at roughly 1/3 of a second, as caution is back out on the track. As it just looks like Steve Dominy just decides to turn it into a drift track, and given the loss of control with traffic coming through, we have a yellow flag. So with 96 of 150 done, are we going to start to see some of our leaders making their way into the pits? I would have to believe that we are going to see everyone at the front of this pack make their way in. So right now, Jason Swan has is the lone Jason Swan, Johnny Downey, William Klingbill, Chris Oliver, and Brian McFerrin are the ones that have stayed out. As we see all of these guys getting tires all the way back through Steve Gottschalk. Justin Anderson is the first one off of pit road. As we see a little bit of a sprint off. As Joshua Hanner does beat Steve Gottschalk off of pit road and get himself in front. But right now we do have a number of people at the front of this with some older tires. So Brian McFerrin, Johnny Downey, William Klingbill, Chris Oliver, they are all on very old tires in comparison. So this could be interesting as we start to see everybody else cycle their way back up with fresh tires. So this should be interesting. So right now, as we are on our 11th caution of the night, Johnny Downey is leading this field, followed by William Klingbill, Chris Oliver, Brian McFerrin, Justin Anderson, Greg Wellen, Dan Shirley is in 7th, Sean Carmody is in 8th, Joshua Hanner in 9th, and Adam Wood rounds out the top 10. So we should be, as we are starting lap 99 of 150. We just need to have everyone calm down, because at this point we have not seen a single person, even with caution laps, make it past 35 laps on a stint. So if we could go green the rest of the way, hopefully we can get one green flag pit stop in here if necessary. But the lights on the pace car are off. And hopefully we can keep it green for a little while as pace car dives in. Johnny Downey is already in front of William Klingbill. Gets a great jump. Gets a 1-2-3 car length jump. Chris Oliver is about to drop back in line, but kind of what we expected. These guys on fresh tires are not going to be any kind of a match for all of these guys with the out on old tires. As Justin Anderson has managed to get himself down below Johnny Downey, gets the pass done going into, well, he hadn't had it done completely, but now he is down below. Greg Wellen is going to try to also make the pass on that low side. Those extra grip of those sticker Goodyears, as we have another spin at the back as Mike Burgess goes off track. But we do stay green. So we have made it into the 100 laps as Dan Shirley and Johnny Downey are side by side going into turn 1. Johnny does back out as Sean Carmody also gets down below him. Josh Hanner has to take a little bit of an evasive move to stay clear of Johnny Downey, but he does have himself down below, and we are staying green for quite a while here. And Justin Anderson and all of those gentlemen that made their way into the pits have officially cleared everyone who has not. The next person that was in on that last pit cycle is Adam Wood, who seems to be, as we have an incident in the back as Mike Bass has made it off track. It looks like he may have had a little bit of extra help there from Joe Dinsmore. So let's go ahead and change some cameras. Let's get to the chopper here. As Mike was already a little bit loose, and Joe was just trying to run his line, came up, grabbed a little bit of his bumper. Just a little bit of a racing incident, nothing malicious, just an unfortunate bit around racing. So let's go ahead while we go around the track for one more time under caution. Let's hear from Randy Pepper once again.
Hi, I'm Randy from the Guitar Attic. Can we be serious for a second? Are you tired of being a loser? Can't do anything right? Feel like everyone's coming down on you all the time? Well, there's a way out, and I'm going to show you. Hey Mom, look what I learned. That's right, pick up a guitar, learn how to play guitar. Automatically you're going to become a chick magnet. The ladies are going to love you. Your kids are going to think you're cool. So what you need to do is come down here to the Guitar Attic, 16725 Ridgewood Avenue in Daytona Beach, Florida, or go on guitarattic.com and buy yourself a guitar and automatically be the star of your neighborhood. That's guitarattic.com.
And we are back here at New Hampshire, lap 105 of 150, under caution again. So we are on lucky number 12 here, and things have not changed all that much outside of everyone that did not pit on the last cycle has cycled on up towards the pack. So Justin Anderson is now back in the lead with Greg Wellen right behind him, Dan Shirley in third, Sean Carmody in fourth, Josh Hanner in fifth, William Klingbill sixth, Adam Wood seventh, Blake Zede eighth, Joe Densmore in ninth, and Derek Schilling in 10th. So we are seeing pretty much the same faces cycling in and out, but Mr. Adam Wood up 6 positions from his start. Looking good. He said that this is not one of his favorite tracks. But again, the highlight of the day for me right now is Sean Carmody. Due to bits with life, not going to be able to run the TNT series, and no one faults him for that one. But coming out here, being just as strong, running at the top flight of the AOLL as we see him in the TNT, which is great to see the new generation. We're missing a few Endeavor cars in Brandon Bernhardt and Blake Gordon tonight, but they're still represented at the front as we enter turn 3, about to go green, with Justin Anderson leading us to another green flag. As the pace car is pulling off, Justin Anderson goes right at the line, gets a good jump, not the best jump that he's had tonight, but he is able to clear Greg Wellen pretty easily. Dan Shirley gets down below Sean Carmody, but Sean is going to get a great run coming out of the turn. Should be able to be alongside him as Dan does get up to block the run. Is running a lower line. which ultimately is going to be fast for the time being, as it looks like Sean may have got a little bit of wall coming out of turn 4, but didn't really slow him down very much. Maybe it just straightened him out. But Dan Shirley holds on to third with Sean Carmody in fourth. Joshua Hanner gets loose, but manages to hold on to the position, only losing about 0.2 of a second on Sean Carmody. But as we cross the line to start lap 110, we're still green. That's all I care about. But right now, we are seeing Blake Ziti making a move on William Klingbill to take over 6th place. And it has been a while since William Klingbill has pitted. He is 79 was his lap 79 was the last time he was in the pits. So he is going to be struggling in comparison to all of these guys that came in on lap 96 or 104, which was the start of our last caution, as Blake is starting to pull away from Derek Schilling, but he still has a second and a half to get up to Joshua Hanner to start battling for 5th place. As we are just seeing these guys settle into a rhythm. The next battle that we have is Joe Dinsmore trying to fight his way back up after a few bad run-ins. Get himself back up into that top 5. He is working on Derek Schilling right now. Has about 1/3 of a second to make up as he gets down on that low line below Derek Schilling. He's given a little less space than everyone else as we see Johnny Downey go off the track in the background. Just gets a little bit loose, and since it's a solo spin onto the grass, we stay green. So let's get back to this battle here, as it is still going hard, as Derek Schilling and Joe Dinsmore are constantly getting side by side. Derek gets a great run off of the corner, and then ultimately relinquishes the position to Joe Dinsmore, who is moved into 7th. Now sets his sights a 1.5 seconds ahead to get up to Blake Ziti, and then hopefully we will get Joshua Hanner and Joe Dinsmore battling once again. As we see William Klingbill dropping even farther back as Adam Wood gets around him to move into 9th. But he is fighting back on that outside, gaining a little bit of speed, but Adam is taking far too low of a line that's going to kill his speed, his exit speed. So William Klingbill will be able to get around him on that outside and set his sights onto Derek Schilling as Adam goes low. May be able to get the right run off, but William Klingbill battles back, and the one person that we are seeing that is made moves is Joe Dinsmore, and he was given a little less space, especially when he was passing Derek Schilling. He was coming up and only giving him about a car's width up along that wall to where there was no room for mistakes for either of them. But he did get it done cleanly, as we see Joshua Hanner is slowly catching Sean Carmody, running a higher line and getting a great run out of the corners. And not really making up too much time. I feel like these guys at the front are trying to save their tires and ultimately wait, hoping that there are no more cautions. That way they can just make it to the end, depending on fuel. I'm not sure about the fuel strategy here, because so far we haven't had to worry about it. But as we are on lap 118, we are starting to see Greg Wellen get right up on Justin Anderson. As we're seeing, this is the battle for the lead. Greg backs off just a little bit, but they're starting to put gaps between them and everyone farther back. It's now we've got about a half of a second where Greg must have just decided to back off, not do too much. But right now, Joe Densmore is sitting a second clear of Blake Ziti, catching him not quickly, taking about a 10th out every lap. But he is slowly catching him. And we'll move to this backpack because this is getting spicy up here, where we have right now Derek Schilling leading this pack, but Mike Bass is starting to run and catch him. With William Klingbill in tow, Steve Gottschalk making a move on William Klingbill. Going into 4. He has the pass done and is well on his way to trying to catch Mike Bass at this point and get himself out of 10th and a little bit closer to the top 5 he started expecting. When he started 4th tonight, didn't expect to see him running this far back. But right now, Brian McFerrin, and I missed my click, is trying to work and find a way to get closer to Adam Wood. But Mike Bass is going to drop down below Derek Schilling as caution is back out. So it looks like it may have been John Gordon. John Gordon with just a self-spin coming out of turn 4. Since there was no grass to escape to, we have caution. Alright, while I go and top off my beverage, we'll hear from the AOLL one more time.
The AOLL began online racing in the mid-1990s with Papyrus's NASCAR racing still going strong 27 years later on the iRacing platform. The TNT series races on Thursday night, running the ARCA Chevy cars for drivers looking to learn and have fun. The Cup series races on Sunday nights, featuring league veterans and Class A licensed drivers. The Sportsman division races on Wednesday nights, running the Gander Outdoor trucks with drivers from the Cup and TNT series. You can catch all of the AOLL racing action right here on Ghostfire Media.
Sorry about that. I thought that I would be able to make it round trip to my fridge and back, as we see all of our leaders have made their way into the pits, as it looks like Blake Ziti is the one to win the battle off of pit road, which will effectively, if we do go green the rest of the way, he's going to have a battle in front of him, because directly in front is going to be Ross Gage, who is only on 18 lap older tires, and Johnny Downey, who is, of course, Ross goes into the pits now. But Johnny Downey was last in the pits on lap 104. We have 26 to go, which means we're on 124. He's only on 20 lap old tires, but with these guys on the freshest tires, could make this very interesting, to where everyone in front of him, Greg Wellen, Joe Densmore, Derek Schilling, have all not pit since lap 96. And William Klingbill has not been in since 79. So this could turn into a very interesting strategy play for these guys. If we stay green for the last 26 laps, these guys could be at a huge disadvantage on tires. Personally, I would have gone in for tires, but there's also a chance as we look at the number of stops that Greg Welland has taken, he may not have tires. It's the same thing for Joe running in second. He's been in enough to where tires weren't going to be an option for them. But this has been a great recovery drive from Joe Dinsmore, given everything he's been involved with. Second place is definitely where he wants to be, as we are going to be 24 to go as we reach green. As the pace car will be peeling off momentarily. As Greg goes nearly immediately and gets a great jump out in front, as he has a good 3 car lengths to Joe Dinsmore. But we see Derek Schilling entering the picture there as William Klingbill has dropped into 4th at this point. But we are starting to see just a very angry mob of guys on fresh tires as we see Joshua Hanner, who has already made his way up into 5th, just steaming through the pack. Dan Shirley right behind him. As Dan goes down below, Joshua Hanner gets him. As we are back under caution. So let's start with Brian McFerrin, who his was just trying to avoid, oh no, he and Mike Bass actually end up collecting one another. As Joshua Hanner and Dan Shirley just well, let's move to a slightly better view here. As we'll go quarter speed. As Joshua Hanner just starts his turn in, Dan Shirley is just there. That's, well, that one's going to be a reviewer for the admins, but again, that was aggressive on Dan Shirley's part, but definitely not something I wouldn't do myself over and over again. He had the run coming up, but unfortunately right now that drops Joshua Hanner down into 21st, as we are going to have 21 laps left to go as we cycle through this. We are running hard, and I'm running out of things to say. But right now, as we stand after a bit more chaos, Greg Welland is in first, Joe Dinsmore second, Derek Schilling third, William Klingbill fourth, Dan Shirley in 5th, Kevin Haas 6th, Justin Anderson 7th, Sean Carmody in 8th, Johnny Downey in 9th, and Mike Bass in 10th. As the lights on the pace car are not off yet. I was thinking we were going to be going 1 to go here, but apparently I was wrong. So we're hoping that we may be able to make it green flag the rest of the way. as we see Dan Shirley drop into the back, which means he took ownership of that incident, gave himself the EOL, and again, that's not the worst. It wasn't the worst incident that we've seen. It was something that I would have expected to see as we reached lap 10, not necessarily when we did, but we are 1 to green at this point. Greg Welling gets to lead us to the green flag, hopefully one last time. And we will get to see. I am most curious with Justin Anderson has actually pitted more recently than anyone in front of him by at least 24 laps. Will he be able to make a show of this? Will he be able to get himself? He is starting in 6th. It should not be the most difficult run in on a race he's ever had. As the pace car is off, Greg gets a great jump in front of Joe Dinsmore. It's a 1-2-3 car length lead. Derek Schilling is also down below, getting his nose in front of Joe Dinsmore. There is contact, and we are under yellow again. Let's move to the chopper here as that's going to be 2 cars looking for the same space on the track, and especially on a restart. We should count our lucky stars that Joe was the only person to actually get tangled up in that. And that is actually amazing car control on his part to get that thing up to the wall and out of the racing line. All right, so as we are trying to track down the pace car, I need one more break, and this will be the last one. Let's hear from Randy one last time.
Hi, I'm Randy from the Guitar Attic. Can we be serious for a second? Are you tired of being a loser? Can't do anything right? Feel like everyone's coming down on you all the time? Well, there's a way out, and I'm going to show you. Hey Mom, look what I learned. That's right, pick up a guitar, learn how to play guitar. Automatically you're going to become a chick magnet. The ladies are going to love you. Your kids are going to think you're cool. So what you need to do is come down here to the Guitar Attic, 1672.5 Ridgewood Avenue in Daytona Beach, Florida, or go to guitarattic.com and buy yourself a guitar and automatically be the star of your neighborhood. That's guitarattic.com.
And we are back as we have 16 laps to go. I don't know if people actually have enough fast repairs or their cars are in good enough shape to really make it. It looks like Joe Dinsmore only has a little bit of, a lack of a bumper currently. However, he is back there with Derek Schilling, who gave himself the EOL for that incident and has moved himself back to the field to where we're actually seeing a lot of people currently running in the back that started in our top 10. So right now, Joshua Hanner is one of the big droppers to where he is currently running 17th and down 11 spots from where he started. Dan Shirley is in 20th, 17 back from where he started, and Joe Dinsmore is 21st and 14 back from where he started. So some of this chaos that has been happening towards the front the past few laps has really ruined the nights of quite a few people. Where all three of the guys just referenced, we're running towards the front as we are making our way back to green. These guys had a shot to win and have kind of had themselves taken out of contention by their own doing. Or other people's doing, but still. A little bit of racing is also avoiding the incidents. As we are coming into turn 3 with Greg Wellen in first, William Klingbill in second, Justin Anderson third, Kevin Haas fourth, Sean Carmody fifth, and Johnny Downey in sixth as the pace car peels off. Greg goes immediately, without hesitation, drops William Klingbill, and then Justin Anderson is around Klingbill before he even hits the end of turn 1. And coming out of turn 2, Sean Carmody has also made that move as we see a little bit of shuffling going on towards the back of the field. As we see Mike Bass entering the picture with Steve Gottschalk trying to get around William Klingbill on those older tires. It looks like William Klingbill is actually going to be the one to hold these guys up pretty well as we are under caution once again. Mike Burgess just gets sandwiched with Joe Dinsmore there. That one, I could not tell you what happened here. Let's go to the chopper. Oh, as Mike was looking to try to get around John Gordon, moves a little bit to the left as, no, Joe Dinsmore moves up into him. Actually really confused, yeah. Both of them were just kind of drifting towards that specific space, and, well, we haven't quite figured out a way to have two cars occupying the same space yet in iRacing. So we are approaching the last 10 laps. And just for my own curiosity, we are on caution number 16. 10 to go. We are 140 laps in the books out of 150. And Greg Wellen running on 28 lap older tires than the next two behind, well, the next 5 behind him with the exception of, I have no idea what's going on here except out of boredom. Greg Wellen decided to run a chicane on the road course. Just pass some time. Decided that turning right sounded like fun for a few moments there. As I really wish the light in my basement would stop turning off on me. But we are going to be going live with 7 laps to go. I really wish we could get to the end of this without any more cautions. But let's go ahead. Take a quick check-in to see what shakeups have happened towards the front. And right now, Greg Wellen is still our leader with Justin Anderson to his outside. Sean Carmody in third. William Klingbill in 4th, Mike Bass 5th, Steve Gottschalk 6th. Okay. Kevin Haas Johnny Downey in 7th, Kevin Haas 8th, Blake Ziti in 9th, and Chris Oliver rounds out the top 10. But right now, we are seeing, again, all of those people that had been fighting for a lead, starting with Joshua Hanner. Josh Hanner is currently in 14th, Brian McFerrin 15th. Joe Dinsmore is currently back in 19th. Derek Schilling is in 20th, and Dan Shirley in 21st, as we are 2 turns away from going green. As there's a little bit of confusion towards the back of the field. The pace car should be off momentarily. And Greg has been going immediately, as he does again. Right now, that gave Sean Carmody, who has figured out his starting position, a great run on Justin Anderson. He is down below. Those two are door to door, lug nut to lug nut, going out of turn 2. Sean gets a little bit loose. Looks like he's going to slot in behind Justin Anderson. And we are going side by side, very far back in the field, as Joshua Hanner is looking to split Ross Gage and Chris Oliver. Chris Oliver is diving very low there, just trying to get himself safely in, as we see Brian McFerrin does not have a front end on his cars. They are going 4 wide on the backstretch, as John Gordon blinks out there for a moment. But we are just seeing them. Greg Wellen has opened up 0.6 of a second of a lead over Justin Anderson. But we are seeing William Klingbill get himself back up onto the bumper of Steve Gottschalk. He is not wanting to relinquish that, as Blake Ziti gets a little bit loose, as we see more action. John Gordon going, as we are going yellow once again. As John Gordon just gets himself loose, tags the wall, and cuts in front of everyone and makes his way into the tires. So we are back behind the pace car. We are about to go for a green-white checker. And we will see what if anyone is going to dive into the pits. It doesn't look like anybody. Oh, we're starting to see Chris Oliver, Brian McFerrin make their way in. Brian makes sense because he's got a little smoke coming out of the back there. May not necessarily be capable of making it to the end. But we are about to have a green-white checker finish, which means the first flag that we will see is the green. We'll run a lap. We'll hopefully get the white if we can keep it clean during that time frame. And then we will get the checker. I cannot remember how many attempts we will have to finish this race in that manner. But we are going to finish this race. So right now, as they're lining up, Greg Wellen continues to lead with Justin Anderson following him. it looks like Sean Carmody is going to be in third, Mike Bass in fourth, Johnny Downey fifth, Steve Gottschalk sixth, William Klingbill in seventh. Joshua Hanner has made his way back up into eighth through all of this. Blake Ziti is in ninth, and Kevin Haas running in 10th. So right now, these guys have been out on the track for 2 hours. Hopefully people weren't drinking too much before we started, because that would be unfortunate. But these guys have to be a little bit antsy to get themselves off the track and get themselves away from their computer for a little while. So hopefully, as we should be coming 1 to green right now, we aren't going to see too many shenanigans, and we can get this race wrapped up for the day. But as we have seen, since we have 17 cautions, the cautions have been breeding those cautions. We've seen quite a few come right after a restart. So hopefully we can just have everyone be patient, make sure that they're lining up the right pass rather than just any pass, and we can make ourselves way around to the checkered flag. As the pace car should be peeling off momentarily, and we will see if Greg Welling goes the second he's clear, and he does. Gets a great jump, but again, Sean Carmody has figured out when he goes and gets a great run. But it's not going to be enough to get around Justin Anderson this time around, but Mike Bass is battling on the outside right now with Sean Carmody, as we're starting to see side-by-side racing the entire way back, as Johnny Downey and Steve Gottschalk are still going door to door. As Johnny does push Steve up, we have hit the white flag, which means we will be finishing here. Derek Schilling apparently has been involved in an incident, and it is a green-white checkered. I thought we had already gotten the green flag when it came out, or the white flag when it came out, so we will be pacing around one more time. So let's go ahead and take a quick gander and see what happens here. Oh, that, okay. I don't think that that was necessarily what all of this was, but there looked like there was a little more chaos back there than that. So I know Carl was actually involved in something there, so let's go ahead and we have time to rewind. So Derek Schilling, oh, Carl and Kevin Haas get into it. Derek Schilling gets sent spinning. And alas, we are back under caution. So we will be making one more attempt at this. See if we can't manage to actually get the checkered under green flag conditions. But I'm just starting to think that these guys just don't want me to go to bed at this point. But we will stick this out until we have a proper winner. And as it stands, the top has not necessarily shaken up all that much, with Greg Willens continuing to lead Justin Anderson in second, but Mike Bass and Sean Carmody have swapped positions. And then Johnny Downey has moved up. Steve Gottschalk is still there, but Joshua Hanner has managed to fight his way back into the top 10. Has himself up into it showing 8th, and I have no idea why. Okay, 7th. With Blig Ziti in 8th, Adam Wood 9th, and Ross Gage in 10th. So even despite having a little bit of an incident, Ross is staying up towards the front. As the lights are still on the pace car. Or are they not? No, they're not. So we will be going back green flag racing one more time. Hopefully we can get 2 laps in, even though that looks like Dan Shirley is not going to make it back around. His car is definitely smoking there, but the pace car is peeling off as Greg goes immediately again. Gets a great jump, and he is followed quickly by Justin Anderson, who has Sean Carmody, gets checked up on his bumper. Mike Bass is below Justin Anderson. Looks like he gets a little bit loose, sending that front pack into chaos, but Sean Carmody manages to get himself up into second in that process as Dan Shirley, I'm being told, has crashed. And we are checkered flag? Okay. I'm real confused. But, okay. Looks like we are running around at full speed, so this race may not be over. Or we're starting to see some guys peel off towards the infield as apparently Greg Wellen is our winner tonight. So let's go ahead as he's going to burn him down for us. We'll run through our results quickly here. As Greg Wellen is our leader or winner, with Sean Carmody in second, Justin Anderson in third, Mike Bass fourth, Joshua Hanner fifth, Johnny Downey sixth, Steve Gottschalk seventh, Blig Ziti 8th, Adam Wood 9th, Joe Dinsmore in 10th, Chris Oliver 11th, Jason Swan 12th, Carl Henderson 13th, Kevin Haas 14th, William Klingbill 15th, Stephen Dominy in 16th, Ross Gage 17th, Dan Shirley in 18th, Derek Schilling 19th, Ed Springer 20th, Brian McFerrin 21st, John Gordon 22nd, Mike Burgess 23rd, Andrew Burgess 24th, and Randy Pepper in 25th. So, alright, let's go ahead and bring in our winner. Hey, Greg, this is Josh in the booth. You got a copy?
I got you, Josh. Did you survive?
I'm not going to deny that I had to make a quick commercial break to go get more to drink, but
I wish I could have, brother. But yeah, that was quite the marathon, wasn't it?
It definitely was. I'll admit that I may have outed your restarts about halfway through, because you kind of start at the same time. Is that every time? Is that intentional, or is it...
It certainly was there because there's nothing anybody can do. Whenever the leader goes, I mean, even if you know when they're going to go, you get a little bit more slip, whereas right in that spot, there's a little bit more grip and you can just go. On the outside lane, it just doesn't have as much.
All right, that makes complete sense that there was just an advantage, but noticing that the second that pace car was off, you also were off. Only one or two people seem to have noticed, and I mean,
yeah, even if they noticed, they were still limited as to what they could do. But yeah, as soon as it got those 4 tires, and that was right where the spot was, just hit it and go.
yeah, you could tell that, again, there's me who's sitting here watching, being like, I know exactly when he's going to go, and yet nobody still was able to keep up, but that does make sense that the outside line didn't have the same level of traction, because no one on the outside had any chance at keeping up with you.
Yeah, it was the same way when I was on the outside too.
Well, I mean, do unto others.
Yeah.
But no, it was a great run from you tonight. You started on pole, ended in the lead. Is New Hampshire one of those tracks that you just love, or is it one you tolerate and you're just that good?
I hate, this is probably one of my most hated tracks, this one in Dover, but right at the end of practice, I figured something out about how to drive this thing after all these years. I mean, I drove 2K3 for so many years and I sucked here. You know, by sucking, I mean top 5, top 10, which is where I expected to run tonight. But I found something, and then in qualifying, I turned that stupid lap. I didn't even expect to turn it.
No, it's amazing how no matter how many times you run these tracks, you can always find something little. And like for me, I look at Atlanta or somewhere like, let's go to Pocono. I changed one thing, and I do it now at Atlanta in certain places too, where there's the little bit of a drop. Just use that to also get a little extra acceleration. And I didn't pick that up until like 2-3 weeks ago, and it angers me that it took me that long.
Yeah, that part feels silly, but yeah. Started on the pole tonight, ended up in victory lane. I feel bad, honestly. I mean, Justin never got the chance to really race me for it. And like you saw, when he was in front of me, he knew how to work the air. And I mean, geez, that nobody drives harder off the right rear than that guy. So it's disappointing not to run for the win or race for it. I really just had to restart and not mess up, and that's all I had to do.
Yeah, I got a little bit bored. When you guys were running, it was brilliant. There was action up and down the field, and yeah, this was not I don't know if I would have been more entertained in the car or if I was more entertained doing what I was doing.
Oh, God, I hope you were getting drunk, dude, because the rest of us, we were wishing we were. There was no fun to be had anywhere. If there's anybody still watching, you guys are the best.
We have 9 people still watching.
Those are the real heroes. Those are the ones you should be interviewing. Ask them how their day went, how they managed along. You know, what they saw in it that was just, you know, so hard to walk away from. Those are the real heroes tonight.
No, any way you slice it, when we were running, it was a great race. It was definitely a great race from you. I'm glad that we got to witness your revelation this week. But I'm going to let you get to relaxing since we're already past 10.
10-4. I just want to give a quick shout out to the Inland Empire Redbirds. I know one of those 8 is some of the boys, so that one's for them. And I'm just glad I didn't have to door anybody to get the win this week.
We covered that when we started.
Yeah, but hey, look, it's the rule. I broke the rule. Let's be clear. I know that I messed up. This is their sandbox, and if I don't like it, I can go, well, I like racing here overall, and I like these guys, so I don't need to race like that.
Yeah, it's one that I've unfortunately fallen victim to as well, so I know the feeling.
That's racing. All right, I'll let you get to the next guy.
All right, thank you very much, sir, and great run.
10-4. See ya.
All right, let's bring up our next Mr. Sean Carmody. Hey, Sean, this is Josh in the booth. You got a copy?
Copy that, Josh. How you doing?
Oh, you know what? Happy to be chatting with you for the second week. It's weird.
Yeah, no, let's make this a habit.
You know what? I've said a little bit during the broadcast, and since I don't get to run with you in TNT anymore, I'm sad that now all I get to do is watch you dominate out here.
Actually, this week I think I will be able to make the TNT, but I'm getting my feet wet in this NASCAR thing. I'm starting to notice that the weekly series is matching this series, so I don't really have much time for practice. So when I run the official series, I get a good idea for how the car's going to handle. And I noticed that the car setup was pretty similar, and then it's really nice to follow these guys. You get behind them and you start to see where they pivot the car and their braking points, and then you just mimic it. And if you're lucky, you can maintain the speed. I got lucky with that green-white checker because I actually dropped back to fourth by a nose when that last one came out, and I got a great restart and luckily finished P2. Unfortunate for Justin, he got a little loose. Yeah, it seemed like him and Greg were the guys to beat today, and then there was like 3 or 4 other guys that had the speed as well.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said by being the person in the right position at the right time, and honestly, you were up front all night. Maybe not top 3, but you were on the outside ready to knock on the door. And once you got there, you didn't relinquish anything easily.
It felt good being up there for once without luck. I feel like sometimes I get up there luckily, and this time I do feel like I had a good run. I'm happy. I'm great. I'm super happy with P2. That's excellent. That's my best finish in the Cup Series yet. But I felt good with the pits. I felt good with the pit strategy. I felt confident in my decisions and driving. Kept the nose clean. I mean, unfortunately, we had a lot of yellows, but it didn't really hurt me at all. Kept my tires fresh. I'm just happy we got to finish the race because none of us knew what was going to happen. And it seemed like we were going to finish P4, and then we got that one last lap, and that made the big difference.
No, it was a great run, and again, happy to see some of these TNT guys giving it to the old guard and really pushing.
Yeah, absolutely. The TNT's, it's a beginner series, but we're not slouches completely. A lot of us have moved up, and we still participate in the TNT. You're in there, Carl's in there, a lot of the same faces, so even though it's the beginner league, they still go pretty good.
No, I would love to sit and chat with you for a while, but I am beaten. I'm sure you guys are no better. It's been a long night.
Absolutely. I don't blame you.
18 cautions.
18 cautions, and from what I understand, you were in the booth by yourself tonight. So you must have done a lot of talking.
Yeah, let's just say at least I'm really good at that.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as you can stay busy. But all right, excellent. I'll let you go.
I was going to say, great finish tonight.
To talk to you.
And hopefully, it becomes a regular thing.
Thank you. Appreciate that. See you next week.
See ya. All right. So, yes, we have been on for over 2 hours. So I will just remind everyone that this week, the next race that you'll get to see from us will be on Wednesday with the Sportsman Series from the AOLL. There's no IVRL this week. The Sportsman Series is going to be at New Smyrna, which, short track, gonna be a great time in the trucks. It was a great time there when we ran in the TNT with the ARCA cars, so that'll be a great one. Then Thursday, the TNT will be at Concord. Just the mini Pocono. Ran that with the fuel a few weeks ago. It was brilliant. It's going to be a great show. Then we will have on Friday the podcast, and then we will be at Indy Road next week with the Cup Series. So, from everyone at Ghost Fire Media, I'm Josh Laston. Have yourself a great